Another spicy video in Brian and Lona, as always. We're all about juice. That's why our logo is a fucking drop. Today we're gonna have a video about chemistry and connection, and what are the differences between chemistry and connection, and why we mistake it. Because I think most of us really look for this chemistry when we are dating someone or when we are in a long-term relationship. We want to build that chemistry again that we had in the beginning, because that chemistry was when we were dating and we were starting, but over time it just faded away.
What we want is not mixing these two things up
Exactly.
or misinterpreting them. Chemistry is mostly, I'm not saying always, mostly driven by the width of wounding. Because chemistry is more this explosion, fiery, oh my God, we have this amazing attraction. We can't let the finger off the other, and we have this amazing sex, and it is mostly chemistry.
Chemistry reaction. Everything is exploding and there's this reaction between the elements.
People think this is the quality of an amazing relationship. This is what we want and look for. No. What we want is connection. Connection is way deeper and way more subtle, and it's as you would be wrapped in a warm blanket and you feel good and deep and held in it. And then you would say, and we talk about it in Brian and Lola, obviously, you want to reignite the passion or maintain it. You want to have the spark, the attraction to each other, towards each other. But yes, what you want when having a beautiful, genuine, deep connection, you want reignite or maintain the spark. We call it also the attraction. What is polarity? What goes so much deeper than the chemistry? Let's see, the chemistry is this here. And the attraction and polarity is here. And this is vibing when you nurture it all the time in a very healthy way. The chemistry is more up here or down there for, let's say, more unhealthy and maybe only short-term version. When you're in a long-term relationship, what you want to nurture is this polarity to keep the spark, the attraction, the passion alive.
And let's think about the chemistry. What does chemistry create on your nervous system? And when I say nervous system, it's how you feel in your body. Chemistry gives you a feeling of, I wouldn't say ease, it is more like a tense feeling, because there's some chemistry going on. And where we're thinking about a long-term relationship, most of the most important values are peace. I think we're looking for peace, but we are wired because of our 7 first years of life. The first 7 years of our life is when our parents are the ones that are going to make us survive. Our nervous system is the same as our parents in these 7 years. And we build a lot of anxiety attachment styles, or different types of attachments to our mother if you're a man, and to your father if you're a woman, especially it's always almost with the opposite sex. But you're wired to that. Your nervous system is like you put like a codification and you're attracted to a certain thing, but you're repeating the same that you. That's why it's so important to do mother and father work, understanding them and what you took from them, and also healing your nervous system and being attracted not to those things that give you this sense of no, and being attracted more to the peace. I remember Tina and I, we always ask ourselves, are you missing something? Right now, we are saying
we haven't
more.
said it in a while,
But in the beginning of our relationship, we were very conscious about the process, and we always would ask now and then, are you missing something in this relationship? That's one of the questions that I also teach in Brett and Lola, that you should always say to your partner if you feel there's something missing. But I remember once that I said myself, I miss the toxicity. What is missing in this relationship? The toxicity. Because I was still working on an ex-girlfriend of mine that I had a lot of anxiety with. And I was missing all that chemistry that I had with her.
Obviously, not missing.
At the end, it felt unfamiliar, not comfortable. This peace and feminine energy, compassion, unconditional love, I was not feeling comfortable with it.
It's a safety.
Because I've never experienced safety from my mother or my father. It was not familiar. And you know this phrase, you're going to choose a familiar hell and not an unfamiliar heaven. Because your nervous system is always driven and drive, and I think it's driven or moves towards familiarity. And your familiarity can be something very unhealthy. It's very important to work around all these attachment styles and so on. Something that we work on Pull Me Closer on our models in the first part of our program. But yes, we have to come down to the conclusion that we are not looking for chemistry, because a chemical reaction takes a certain amount of time. If you take, for example, oxygen and iron, oxygen and iron create a process of oxidation. But that process of oxidation will take some time. And that's what happened with chemistry. You have chemistry, you're feeling all these things, but they will run out. The chemistry is not sustainable. And what we want is a sustainable relationship. We want a relationship that is long-term and that it can deepen. And chemistry is not a deep thing. What is deep is connection. And connection is something that you can always deepen. The more you unite as a couple, because what we're looking for, and that's the name of our program, Pull Me Closer, is like this. You have to imagine in yourself, in your mind, like this thing of being more and more one person. Yes, I'm Bruno, I'm a man, and Estina, she's a woman. And but actually we feel this more and more that we go on this journey of our like as a couple, we feel more and more this process of being one, which is something that explains the Bible and all these different texts. But that's one of the concepts that we touch on Pull Me Closer, and like this feeling also when you're in bed to be more and more together. That's when you build also with especially connection. And that's something always that can deepen and deepen and deepen. And it depends on the depth of the emotional connection and also the depth within yourself. But that's of course a process with time. And those two things are the different things between chemistry and connection. If something is missing in your relationship, it's not chemistry. It's intimacy first and foremost. You're missing sex, you're missing passionate sex, you're missing nourishing sex. Or intimacy as a broader topic. But let's get to the beginning. Why you're missing intimacy? Because you're missing connection. And first, let's work on the connection. And connection is worked through honesty, transparency, and communication, which is what everyone is missing nowadays. We don't have the tools to communicate. You can say, okay, when we build that communication, that foundation on connection, then we need something that is not chemistry, is polarity. Polarity, when we have magnets, masculine, feminine, negative, positive, what they do, they attract themselves. And that's what we want. We want this attraction. And this attraction is not chemistry.
That's important.
Attraction is built when we nurture our natural essences. As a man, I'm here to lead. And as a woman, you're here to guide. As a man, I'm here to provide, to build a container of safety. As a woman, I'm here to
Dance, flow,
receive. There's all these different things that you have to learn. And there's a dance that happens because I'm not always going to be on my masculine, let's say. If I'm feeling emotional, I'm in my feminine. And she needs to be on her masculine. We all have these two essences, energies, but there is one that has more importance, especially if you're a man or a woman. And that doesn't have to do anything with chemistry. That has to do with polarity, attraction. And the woman, when the woman opens up and is on her feminine because the man is taking the masculine, imagine what happens. That the woman is then attracting the man, and it's inevitable that the spark is there and you are going to have intimacy, whether it's sex, whether it's a kiss, or whatever you want to call it. But that's the process that we teach, you see? And in any part of this process, we have talked about chemistry. With this video, you can already take that what is missing is not chemistry, what is missing is connection, but connection is a thing of friendship as well. If you're in a partnership, you need intimacy. That's a different sex. There's a difference between a friendship and a partnership. I call it partnership, but I don't know the word.
Romantic relationship.
Romantic relationship, yes. You need what? You need attraction. And with attraction, you can enter the intimacy. It's very simple. But of course, you need the tools how to go about all of this because there's a lot of stuff, right? In Brother and Lola, it's not an easy fix. There's not shortcut. There's commitment, making a priority, and having in mind that what you want always is to maintain the connection with your partner. You want to always maintain this connection with communication, always communicating. Then you want to be nurturing this polarity. And then the intimacy is going to come. But you have to work on the 3 wheels. We have 3 wheels in whatever now. Honest communication, polarity, and intimacy.
Exactly. Amen. And that's why focusing on the connection instead of the topic of chemistry, focusing on honest communication and nurturing the polarity, and then comes the part of the nourishing intimacy, what can be very different from everything we learned before. There we don't need chemistry. And that was also amazing because we can experience a very different kind of intimacy, what feels very, very much deeper and more nourishing, and very much like the connection we feel, so that we are filled up instead of this short-term chemistry thing.
And if you are in this channel, if you are in this video, you've heard from us before, you are looking for this nourishing intimacy. And it doesn't start by working directly on sexuality, intimacy. What we say is that at any stage, you can have a nourishing intimacy. You don't have to be this sexual master that knows her body and is awakened and all this stuff. No. Yes, you will learn, you will grow, you will evolve as a person in your understanding and wisdom of your body, your sexuality, but at any stage, you can have that nourishing intimacy, which is what you're looking for. But to start with that, to end there, you don't have to work on the intimacy. You have to start with the connection, with the honesty, and with the communication.
See you in our next video.